We become accustomed, as we hear the Sunday Gospel, to hearing stories of the actions of the Lord in the course of his ministry, of his encounter with the people. But today, all we hear are the words of the Lord. He speaks to us directly and clearly of things which no other can know. This is why he begins saying, "No one has gone up into heaven except the one who has come down from heaven, that is to say, the Son of Man." He speaks of himself. So he establishes from the beginning that he knows what no other can know, that he has a power and authority that no other has. And then he gives good news, saying that he will be lifted up again on the cross. His disciples do not understand this, but he gives the image of the serpents that Moses raised up in the wilderness to dispel the curse that had come upon the people, and says, in the same way, the curse that has come on this world will only be cast aside if I am lifted up. And then he explains. He says, "For God loved the world, and therefore he has given his only begotten Son, so that whoever believes, whoever puts their trust in him will not be destroyed, will not perish, but they will have everlasting life." And then he gives the final good news. "For God has sent his Son into the world, not to condemn, but that the world may be saved." Now, most of the time, we keep before our eyes the wholeness of the world, the things of our life that give us joy. Most of our lives we conceal from our eyes and from our minds the brokenness of this creation. I don't know many people who watch the news any longer, because it is only bad, and there is only so much bad news that we can bear. But of course, on this day we remember when everyone watched the news, and none of us could look away. We remember days from 15 years ago and since, when the brokenness of the world has been thrust upon us, when we cannot avoid it, when we cannot hide from the horror of a world that is dying. And it is fitting, it is blessed that we, on this day of September 11th, as we remember the brokenness of the creation, and now and in the intervening years, and we know with certainty in the future, that we hear, on the one hand, the joy of the creation in the birth of the Mother of God, and we see the sign of the cross raised for us in the coming week. We stand between these two feasts, rejoicing at the beginning of the Lord's work and seeing the sign and the instruments of its accomplishment, and understanding that the Lord has come into this world of death and has, by his own death, healed it. And if we still live in the brokenness, we walk with our eyes fixed on the light. We walk in hope. We walk in confidence that what is broken is being made whole, and that even death is helpless before the hand and the word of the Lord, who has come into the world not to condemn it, but to save it. Today, cannot but be a day of sober and sorrowful memory, and yet it must also be for us a day of hope and a day of joy, because even against this horror, this brokenness, the Lord stands and speaks words of healing, words of love, words of life. And we who look to Him are given strength to abide, to endure whatever may come, to walk through death and come out again in the life of the everlasting kingdom. In that mind, let us stand, let us walk towards the Lord, let us receive Holy Communion, and go into the remainder of the day and the year that is to come.